So when I think about you working, right? First of all, I'm like, man, I wish I knew some of the a lot of the electronic and alarm exploitations. I haven't got proficient with, especially currently, last 5, 6 years of
Hmm.
technology. And obviously, it's incredibly fun to go learn those things. And I know a lot of the listeners are probably thinking the same thing I am. But when would I get a chance to use it unless I became a criminal? So, as it relates to me, have you ever been on a job that it did not go as planned? Something went awry, but you pushed through it anyway. Tell me
Yeah,
what that looks like for
yeah, I can definitely. So we're doing a red team, long-term red team. We're talking months long, right, on this project, and we had a whole bunch of time to gather intel, target other buildings, and all this stuff. But the whole point was we were getting into a building to get government or get access to the HSMs, the hardware security modules that held legitimate government keying material. Now, we're not supposed to touch the HSMs. We're just supposed to take a photo that we're able to get into there, right?
you. Yeah.
And there was a bypass that I put on a sensor, and that bypass fell off because I didn't stick it correctly, and it caused an alarm. Okay, there's a camera right there.
Immediately?
Yeah, it is a four store entry alarm
Was
because
it
I
quiet or was it loud?
there's no one in the building.
Okay.
But the
So it just
building
sent a signal.
is it
Somebody.
sent a signal. Yep.
Okay.
The security team is 3 buildings away, and yep, sure enough, like I pop up on camera. I'm there with one of my buddies. We're literally taking apart a lock because I've already decoded. I made a master key
Sure.
for the facility, and they use the Primus system.
Oh wow, nice
Yep,
key.
yep.
Yeah.
I had their master key. I had already had their side
Everest.
fitting.
Did you have very
It
good.
was this one that they were still on the Primus Classic series.
That was
Um,
not a biaxle.
no, no, no. Well, none of the Primuses are. They have the finger pins on that one.
Okay.
The Medico
All right.
ones are
Okay, got
the
it. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I'm swapping out the locks because I put my AnyKey lock in there, but now it's time to put the regular cylinder in there. And I doing this, and my magnetic bypass that I had for their door sensor was it fell off because I didn't stick it hard enough. Right, I
Got it.
just was trying to do it
Right.
quickly. It worked, and so it fell off, and the door had a door force entry alarm that went off.
Okay.
So then security came. At this time, we're already through, like we're down in the server area and everything like that, and they security I'm opening up racks and looking for these HSMs because I don't know where they're at. They're just like it's in this
Are
building.
they
Find
labeled?
it. No, no.
So you have to interrogate
Um,
everything.
I have to go through. Yes, it's very manual process. They did this on purpose because they're like, well, a regular person wouldn't know where they were at, where they're held,
Right.
right? So I'm getting into all these different secure cages in this data center, not tripping off alarms, doing it correctly,
Right.
right? But that door that I was
An
going
entry
to,
door, a daggone
yeah,
entry door.
like
A
20
mag
minutes
lock on the
before,
yeah.
and I security comes into the data center area, the data hall that I'm in,
They armed.
and I don't remember if they're armed. I don't believe they might have been armed. I don't know.
Yeah.
Not this one. Maybe this one wasn't armed. Um, and they are like, "Hey, you, come here." And I was like, "Hey, I'm working. What do you need?" And it's really loud, so like that's why we're yelling, right? I was like, "Well, I'm working. What do you need?" And I'm yelling it because there's all this AC going on. And he comes over to me, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm just like, and I said, "Hey, my boss is so and so. We had a problem with one of these servers, and he told me I need to come and physically turn it on and off again. Um, but I don't know where the server is, so I'm looking for it, right? Because I know they see me on camera, and
Yeah,
he's
you have to have a story to match the video.
right,
Yeah.
and he has a tablet, and they can see all the camera feeds on the tablet as well. And he's like, "You got another guy here with you?" I was like, "Yeah, I got my coworker. Like, I just needed some help, so he's helping me look for the servers too." And he's like, "Okay, I need both of you here." So we go find my coworker, and which is Royal. Uh, I'll blank out that name if he doesn't want me to say it, but I'm sure he'll be okay with it.
It's more of a title, royal.
And
You know.
and so he's there, and they show us a picture of us at that door where the alarm went off. And he's like,
What are you doing?
"What are you guys doing here?" And I was just like, "Oh, yeah, well, we work with the security team, so we're kind of interested in lockpicking. So, we were just digging around, and we're in an environment where that excuse would have played well,
Okay.
right? Except they didn't know who we were. Uh, and then he was just like, "Well, how'd you get into this building, or how'd you get into this area that you're in right now?"
So he's thinking.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, because I bet you. Well, I know what happened afterwards. They went and they viewed all the footage of us of that
I
day,
would have.
and they were very
They
thorough
found you doing walk-bys and
on.
stuff.
Mhm. Oh no, they didn't see us do walk-bys. What they did see us do is under the door tools, but they couldn't see what we were doing because like the resolution of the camera wasn't good enough. But they saw us kneel and then get up and walk through the door, right?
Yeah.
And they actually
It's
asked us.
hernia. It's a hernia, sir.
They didn't know what we were doing, and they're just like, and we only did it on one door. We only had to do it on one door.
Okay.
So when they asked us after the briefing, like after the project, because they didn't ask us there, but they asked us afterwards, I was like, if I told you I was tying my shoe, would you believe me? And they're just like, well, now that we know what you were doing, no, but that might have worked. But I told them I was underdooring the tool, or underdooring this particular door. And I showed them how to do it and all that, and had the security guards do it with me.
Isn't that fun?
They thought it was great. They thought it was the coolest thing
thief
ever.
is showing them how
Yeah.
to steal.
And so I was just, oh yeah, and he's like, okay, well, we got to get out. I got to call dispatch, or I got to call my GSOC, and we got to sort this thing out. Well, to get into the building or to get into this data hall, you need biometrics, a PIN, and a badge. Well, we hadn't captured anyone's biometric. We already we had an intercept device on the biometric reader and the badge and the PIN. So I had the badge and the PIN, but I didn't have biometrics. And the reader that we had to leave out of, like the door he wanted to go out of, it was a man trap, which we all were able to fit into. But I didn't have anything on that reader, even if I did have some data captured.
Wow.
So like it was very deliberate where he was setting us up. So we're in this man trap, and he's like, so we get in to the man trap, and then to get out of the man trap, you have to do your thumb, badge, and then PIN. And I don't have a badge. I mean, I don't have a thumbprint that's going to work. And my badge that I did have at that time
Only worked on the.
was going to work on one of the side doors.
Yeah.
We were getting through the secure cages, so
Yeah.
that's why we were able to be in that area.
Right.
And he was like, okay, he's like, badge out. And he's testing us, right? And
Smart guy. Should have hired that guy.
he was Johnny on the spot, pretty good. But for the buildings that were in that area, like it made sense, right? They had to be on the spot because of the King material because they were hosting government material, King material. And he was like, okay, badge out. And I had this brief moment of panic where I'm like, this project has to continue. What am I going to do? And I knew that these doors, you can push on the door and it would alarm, and it would alarm the entire building.
He would have to go.
And to override it, security has to, on the affected door, swipe their badge, type in their PIN, and do biometric. And but the door won't open if you push open on it. So like you can push the exit, but it's not going to open. And so that's what I did is I slammed that door, and the alarms are going off, and I'm just looking at that security guard, and I'll be like, hey, can you stop this? And then that's not what I'm saying, but I'm looking at him like that's what I'm telling him, like, fix this, right? I made a boo-boo. You fix this. And he looks at me like,
did you have your card out like you were pretending?
Like my badge?
Yeah, your badge.
Oh, I had my badge out. Yeah.
So he could have assumed you were about to take care of
try,
that
but I
guy.
just like tapped on the door.
Yeah, no,
right?
I like it. I like what you did.
And Royal was very impressed. He was like, that was a moment of genius.
Yes.
And it was only because I knew how the alarm systems work in the
Just like we were talking about, right?
And how they had it configured. Because again, we had this whole building dismantled, right? Like they never would have seen. I mean, we would have been on video. What is video good for? To watch the people that are stealing your stuff look at you in 4K, right? Or for this time, investigations. which they were doing.
After you do it.
Right. But they would have never known. Like there's many other buildings that we had worked with this company and we've gotten into and they never knew. And so he swipes in, gets out, and sure enough, he's like, okay, well, I need your badges. Our badges, absolute crap, right? Absolute, like, we didn't have a badge printer that we were using at that time. So I printed them out at like
So you gave it
Kinko's or
2
something like
pieces of
that.
plastic.
Well, I had a colored piece of paper that we then laminated with like packing tape because we had some things that weren't going as this project that we had some problems on this project already.
So you bought your you brought your pilot program.
Yeah. so I show him my badge and he can't read the number, right? And that's what he's trying to like base our stuff off of. And he was just like, okay, well, I'm gonna have to keep these badges. I was like, you can't keep my badge. I have to get to work tomorrow. He's like, you can pick it up from security. I was like, you're not keeping my badge, sir. And I take my badge. And he's kind of like,
well, you're playing the part.
Okay.
You got to take it all the way to the end.
Yeah. And so he lets me go. He asked for our names, checked ID and all that stuff. And but then, that there were so many things that went wrong. The real part that went wrong after that is I knew they were going to be staking out that building.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, we're going to play it cool for like, a few days or a week. We'll be here. We have time on the project to do that. We don't have to make entry again. The point of contact for that building who was in control of all the crypto stuff for that company was like, I want to make entry with you in that building. And I want to do it tonight. So this is the next night. And I was like, no, this is a bad idea. And I have a rule. I don't ever drink while I'm working or if I plan on working that night.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
And we weren't planning on working. So I had a glass of wine. And I was just like, and I told him that. I was like, hey, I already had a glass of wine. He's like, it's going to be fine. Or I want to see you get into this because I had a particular mechanism on those racks. Because he's like, do you know where these are? And I told him I did know where they were. I was like, it's going to be within this row because it was the only row we hadn't checked.
Right.
And he's like, okay, I want you to show me that you can get through this mechanism because he was convinced that we couldn't get through this mechanism.